Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back for another IKR race in the senior rotax class. So today we're at Clay Pigeon Raceway once again, just going through the S's actually. So yeah, today is round 2. Obviously in round 1 it went kind of terrible. I keep this position here, someone actually spins just ahead of me. I try and go around the outside and I actually go straight into the back of him, which actually, scratch that, it went absolutely shocking. So today I'm hoping we could do a little bit better than last time. It'll be very nice if we could. I'm actually just going on a quick track walk like I just said. It's quite early in the morning, about 6:50 AM. So yeah, so hairpin section, I actually found a really good line through there now, a really good braking point and an acceleration out of the corner sort of point. So I'm feeling a lot more confident about this one. And also final corner just over there a bit. I found a new line for there. Been watching a lot of videos on YouTube about racing lines and stuff like that. Also massive shout out to Jack Gorwin, absolute legend, actually helped me get my car fixed up and actually gave me advice. So yeah, massive shout out to him, absolute legend. So yeah, I guess we will just jump straight into first practice then, or a bit later on maybe, just before I jump out on track and see how it goes then. So here we go for the first practice session then. This one was actually recorded on the Friday test day, just for the fact that I actually went up in the morning to Calais on the Friday just to do some practice sessions. Sadly with this one I didn't actually stay all day, just for the fact that I had to actually leave for work. But nevertheless, we got a couple sessions in, and I only recorded one session sadly because I mainly wanted to save my storage and my GoPro battery for tomorrow for the race. But straight away, as you can see, the tyres warmed up pretty quickly and we actually managed to start pushing pretty much after a couple corners. I actually already made a move there very nicely, and actually right all over the back of this number 27 just ahead of me here. So yeah, it's looking like we can have a pretty decent pace, especially that this class was actually with licensed runners. Sadly, I'm not a license holder, so I actually wasn't meant to be in this one, but just so I can get an extra session in, I decided to jump in it. But as you can see, we're actually keeping a pretty decent pace to start with. I actually found out on the Friday that my chassis had a bit of a bend on the right hand side, which was why my front right wheel was lifting off the ground through a couple corners at Mansell's last weekend. So yeah, I was actually really happy when I actually got the chassis bent back into a normal place. I got that done literally a couple sessions beforehand, which is why I really chucked the GoPro on just to see how it would handle now. And there was a lot more of a difference, to be honest. It was mainly final corner I noticed. I really struggled to actually get it turned in on final corner with the bent chassis. But now with the fixed chassis, it was so much better, so much easier to turn it in. A lot of people actually said to me with how far out it was actually pretty much impossible to drive. So I'd been driving a few rounds with that because of this crash here. So that crash happened October last year, and since then I've done a couple test days and a few races in IKR, which is pretty surprising because I've never really thought about the fact of a bent chassis or anything. I just assumed that it would be pretty decent and okay. I did try and bend it back afterwards because I did think that there could be a bend in the chassis, and I did notice there was, but I did it myself and it wasn't really straight, so it wasn't too great. I didn't get it professionally done. But now I've got it completely fixed to literally the best it can be. So it felt so much better in this practice session compared to what it has been in previous IKRs and previous test sessions since that crash. But yeah, sadly, like I said, I didn't get to do this whole session. I actually had to pull into the pits pretty quickly, as like I said, I had to leave for work pretty quickly. So yeah, but nevertheless, that was Friday done. Got a few test sessions in, I'm pretty happy, felt the kart was up to a good standard with the new setup. So yeah, now we will move on to tomorrow then. So now it is qualifying time once again. As you can see, I actually had to struggle with getting the kart started, but luckily it just got going. I came out a bit late, which I won't complain about too much, as you can see I have massively clean air here, so no people block me up or anything. The next people behind me are quite far behind, the next people in front are miles away, so I'm all good. Maybe that little problem I had with starting the car up wasn't too much of a problem and actually helped me out a little bit. But yeah, here's my fastest lap then. Run down towards turn 1, taking it very nicely there, keeping it as tight in as possible. I really struggled to keep the tight line through that first corner, but nevertheless we push on through the S's, run out as wide as possible, run down towards the hairpin. I've really enjoyed the hairpin with this new setup I found. As you can see, no bogging whatsoever, nicely out of the hairpin section, in towards the horseshoe once again, taking it very nicely. Now through the sweeping right hander here where you can take it flat out very nicely up towards the final corner. As you can see, it just gripped so much better than when it did with the bent chassis. Now we head down the start finish straight once again, and that was my fastest lap. We got a couple quick laps in as well, but that was as quick as we can go. Nevertheless, we come around the final corner then to finish my final hot lap, and that was qualifying over. Yeah, it was pretty decent. Sadly, it wasn't too great. It was only like 14th or something, which was pretty poor to be honest, to say the least, but I'll take it. It was better than nothing. I was never really good at qualifying anyway. It's a race where I usually try and make it up. So yeah, now we move on to the race and see how that goes then. So we go straight into Heat 1 then. As you can see, we are just lined up in the pit lane then, just about to go out as we start the engines now to make our way out on track. I was hoping that I could try and make up as many positions as possible. Maybe 2-3 would do for me at the moment. Obviously it's only Heat 1, so this will just judge where I start in the pre-final, and then hopefully I can go up from there, and so on and so forth. So hopefully we just see how it goes then as we come around the final corner to start Heat 1 race at IKR then. It's green lights here at Clay Pigeon Raceway, and as you can see, Andy just ahead of us there gets pushed on the grass. He actually ends up spinning around, and then unlucky me, I end up being the guy to go straight into him, and that's my race completely ruined once again. I didn't know how much damage I had. I knew straight away. As you can see, the bumper dropped, which isn't too much of an issue as it's not a rule in this series, but I didn't know if there was any damage to the axle or the side, as I did hit him pretty hard there. But I think luckily I managed to get away with it. I did carry on and just nurse the car a little bit. I didn't push to the absolute limit because I didn't know if there was any damage or anything. I did notice at one point the engine did backfire just a little bit, which kind of worried me because obviously I don't want to retire from this race and completely destroy the car in Heat 1. So I decided just take it nice and easy, just bring the car home, because there was a few retirements and I actually did get back up to P14, which I will take, so I'll be starting the pre-final in P14. I did actually get lapped there by Jack Gorwin, which I will take because, like I said, I'm just nursing the car home. He's a very quick driver. I'm not going to bother racing him when he wants to go on and win. So yeah, nevertheless, so bit of a disappointing result, as it definitely could have gone a lot better if we avoided that crash. But nevertheless, we head down the start finish straight for the final time. Bit of a short race there, but we finished the race in P14, which is a bit of a shame. Like I said, I'm really annoyed about it, but what can you do? I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I guess I just have to try and make it up in the pre-final and the final. So now we move on to the pre-final, and as you can see, I go to put my visor down and the whole thing just pops off the helmet socket, which I cannot believe happened. Obviously I can't go out without a helmet visor, so I pull off to the left here so everyone can go past. And as you can see, whilst I'm sat there, Peter and Rick, the two legends, were desperately trying to get it back on. Obviously I couldn't see what I was doing, so I just had to sit there and hope that they could get it back on. And look how long it's taken. It's just, we're just sat there. I know the helmet visor is a pain in the ass to try and get back on. The thing is, out of all the other sessions, I checked it beforehand, it was completely fine, it was stable and everything, but for some reason, as soon as I'm about to go out for the pre-final, it clips off. Luckily, Peter and Rick managed to get it on somehow, which I cannot thank them enough for, and I managed to just cut half the track here, just go off the little escape road, and managed to start the race still by some miracle. Unfortunately, I am on cold tyres, which is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, so I decided to take it a little bit more easy in towards turn 1 and throughout this first lap. As you can see, I sort of just let it happen, go around the outside, and obviously I do get overtaken, but I do hold position a little bit and try to against the 20, but he just gets past me very nicely there, and I sort of got stuck behind the 26, which wasn't ideal there, but nevertheless we push on. The 26 we have had a battle with through the past few IKRs, so it'd be nice if I could try and get past him a bit quicker this time. Obviously the final in round 1 I just got stuck behind him for so long, so it wasn't quite ideal, but nevertheless we're going to try and battle our way as best as possible throughout this grid if we can. The problem is, as you can see here, I do go to grab my visor because it actually clips off on the right hand side, which isn't ideal to say the least, but nevertheless it was still clipped on perfectly fine on the left hand side, and it was still hanging on. It was just flapping around in my point of view, which wasn't ideal. You can't really see it on the GoPro as it's not showing me on the GoPro, but nevertheless I carried on. I was just hoping that I didn't unclip on the left hand side as well, or else the whole thing would go flying off and I'll definitely have to pit then. But luckily the marshal seemed alright with it, as no one decided to black flag me or technical flag me, so I decided to just keep pushing on. As you can see, coming through here, I was trying to get around the 26 as best as possible. Obviously I battled with the 26 quite often in these IKRs, but luckily he actually goes for a dive on the kart just ahead of him and actually ended up spinning himself there, and then the kart just ahead of him decided to spin himself and nearly the other guy just ahead of him. So I actually made up 3 positions there, which was very nice. Kind of a bit of a cheek really, because I was kind of just staying out of trouble whilst they were doing the moves. But nevertheless, now I had clean air. I had these karts just ahead of me here, as you can see, and I was a lot quicker than them. I was just going as fast as possible, pushing every single lap, just basically going for quali laps. And that was another guy in the barrier there, so that's another position made, which was very helpful for me. But my aim was now to just catch these 2 up ahead of me and try and get past at least one of them, so I was pushing to the absolute limit. And as you can see, I was getting a lot more closer each lap, which I was very happy with, so it just showed my pace wasn't too bad when I had the kart to do it. Obviously last in heat 1 I had the problem of trying to nurse it home, but now I could go full out, just push it as much as possible, go full send. And as you can see, they were battling each other, which wasn't helping their chances really, and it was helping me catch up massively. So I was just trying to think about how quickly I can get past them. But yeah, they were really doing good lines here, so it wouldn't be easy at all. So I just have to try and stay on their tail as much as possible and hopefully wait for a mistake or wait for an opportunity. As you can see, I'm all over the back of the Kart 18 here, who actually was at the Mansell's test day last weekend, so it was a bit of an interesting sight to see. But nevertheless, we come through the S's very nicely, get a pretty decent exit. He gets a tiny bit of a better exit, but in towards the hairpin, as you can see, I get so much more of a better exit, so I decided to send it down the inside of him into the horseshoe. Luckily he leaves the space and I've made the move stick very nicely on him. Sadly, I don't think it's going to be possible to actually catch the person ahead of me, because there's still a bit of a gap, and then also I have to try and make time to actually get past him. But I guess never say never. We are coming towards the end of this race, so it's not going to be easy, but I will carry on pushing to my maximum pace here to try and do anything possible to try and get this P12 position. I am currently P13, so bearing in mind that I had that bit of a panic at the beginning and I had to try and get my mind straight again after, well, my visor clipping off and having to panic about that, I think that was a pretty decent effort and a pretty decent comeback, to say the least. But nevertheless, we're coming around the final corner then for the final time to finish this race. Just couldn't get past the kart just ahead of me, which is a bit of a shame, but nevertheless, P13, I'll take that any day of the week. So yeah, I guess now we need to try and make up time in the final and hopefully be able to pull off another good drive maybe. So now we move on to the final, and I am on the inside, so hopefully I can have a bit of a good start and maybe try and make a couple positions. As you can see, we don't have any problems this time coming out the pits, which thank God for that, because that was absolutely dreadful that happened in the pre-final. But yeah, nevertheless, we cut to start the final then for the final time of the day at Clay Pigeon Raceway. We are green here, and we have a pretty terrible start actually, to say the least. We actually get jumped by the guy on the outside, which isn't ideal. There's not much of a space to really send it, so I decided to just take it easy. We still managed to hold the guy on our left around the outside there though very nicely, so really we only lost one position, so down to P14, which isn't too bad. We absolutely get sent here by the car 18 there. I just saw him in time and just backed out of it. But yeah, not ideal there, especially that he was in a Prevo, but nevertheless, we've got to try and push on and try and make as many positions as possible from that terrible start, to say the least. But nevertheless, coming into the final corner to finish the first lap then, I couldn't actually believe we actually got away with a clean start there, no one actually spinning, which I was very happy with, especially me, that I didn't spin. So as we head in towards turn 1, once again, following the car 18, through the S's, taking it very nicely, and then suddenly this happens. So yeah, at this point I realised that I spoke too soon underneath the helmet and realised, okay, so maybe it wasn't lap 1, instead they decided to hit us right where it hurts, and it was actually lap 3 instead. We all ended up spinning. So again, I found myself playing a bit of a chasing and catching up game, and I did a pretty decent job of that. Usually I'm pretty decent at doing that, and I actually caught up with Andy pretty quickly, and he had a bit of a damaged car obviously from his Heat 1 race, as we send it down the inside of him. Very nice there, made it move stick very nicely into the hairpin section. So now once again I find myself with a bit of a clean air and find myself having to chase down the car 18 once again, and obviously he's quite a distance away and we're about, well, 3/4 into the race already, so I didn't really think I was going to catch him, but I still pushed as much as possible, to say the least, as I really wanted to try and have a good chance at it. And well, they're just up the road, so they're not too far away. I don't know if he actually ended up spinning in that first corner either, but as you can see I really ran that sausage curve there, just lifting off in time just so I didn't spin in front of Andy, or else that would have been an absolute shambles, to say the least, if I absolutely binned it into the barrier. But nevertheless, we found ourselves really flying again and actually catching down the car 18 once again with a familiar feeling as of the pre-final. But nevertheless, we didn't really have enough time as we were about to start the final lap of the race now. I thought he's only just up there. If we could brake a bit later at points and try and catch up just a little bit more, maybe we could send it out of the hairpin just like we did in the pre-final. But I think he knew that that's not going to be possible this time, as obviously I'm a little bit further behind, and also he's learnt from his mistake in the pre-final, so he goes a little bit more defensive here into the horseshoe, as you can see. So there's no chance I could send it down the inside, sadly. So we come through the sweeping right-hander, now up to the final corner for the final time of the day, and sadly we just couldn't get him. If there was a couple more laps, maybe I could have gone for it, but no, sadly that is the end of our round 2 at IKR at Clay Pigeon Raceway. So yeah, not the best of results, but I guess some pretty decent battles and a pretty decent overtake opportunities, which I'll take. But nevertheless, that is the end of the day, so I'm going to leave this video here. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like and subscribe. I apologise I didn't really vlog that much outside the kart. For next time I will do a lot more. I just completely forgot really, because we're so concentrated on the kart that day and the setup and everything. But yeah, thank you for watching and goodbye.